Today we'll be talking to Mr. Attah. He's the Managing Director of Guarantee Trust Bank, Ghana. We'll be sharing some insights on what's going on in the banking industry, and he'll be telling us good things about his bank, particularly about their e-payments platforms or their e-banking suites. And by e, I mean electronic banking. You know, we've become accustomed to going to the banking halls, joining long lines, and I, for one, now I sit in the comfort of my home, literally, go on my phone, and I send money across Ghana. So today we'll be having a very light discussion with Mr. Attah. He is the Managing Director of Guarantee Trust Bank. Without further ado, I'll introduce him and we'll get our conversation going. Mr. John, thank you very much for joining us.
Philip, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so give us a bit of a background to your start in Ghana. There's something small, how you started in Ghana.
Okay, we're about 12 years active in Ghana now. Okay. We're part of a group office in Nigeria. We're operating in 11 countries. Okay. And we're a fully fledged commercial bank in Ghana. Okay. With about 34 branches so far. Okay. And as we continue, I'll tell you why those branches are not likely to increase.
With regards to the bank as a whole,
yes,
I was doing some reading on the bank and I realized that you guys have 841 staff members, like you said, 34 branches. Then I looked at your corporate governance structure. Why? Because the word or the theme or the concept of corporate governance kept on coming up. And I saw that all is well and good for you. Another important part I realized was your staff numbers.
Yes.
You made mention of the fact that you give a lot of room to Ghanaians, though you were, let's say, majority owned Nigerian bank. Share some light on that for us.
Well, you know, there's this theme that there are Nigerian banks and there are Ghanaian banks in the market. It's usually strange when I hear such description. Because if you check a bank, generally, yes, the shareholders are there. But what makes the bank is the depositors' funds. Exactly. And by the time you strip away the depositors' funds from all banks, there's no bank. So like in Ghana here, the bank is owned by Ghanaians because the depositors control what we do. So for us, we see ourselves as a Ghanaian bank, but part of an international group of banks. GTBank is the name. In terms of staffing, yes, I mentioned earlier that just to support my position is truly a Ghanaian-owned bank. In Guarantee Trust Bank today, the treasurer is a Ghanaian, the chief financial officer is a Ghanaian, okay, the head of risk is a Ghanaian, the chief auditor is a Ghanaian. All the key aspects, the company secretary is even a pioneer staff, Ghanaian. So all the key aspects that makes a bank tick, run by Ghanaians. Yeah. Added to the fact that the deposits are largely that of Ghanaians. I'm just a team player. Yeah. So we're truly a Ghanaian bank in my own opinion. And in terms of corporate governance, that's what has seen us operate effectively in over 10 countries. You cannot come to a new country or in a new operations and not adhere to the expectations of the regulators and what the country expects from you. Overall, from us, in terms of corporate governance, is stricter than most of the regulatory regimes in various countries we operate. So by the time you adhere to GTBank corporate governance, meeting the regulatory needs of your country of operation becomes a little bit easier. So for us, it's more important to adhere to our corporate governance ethos than to even make money in any operations. So it's everything we stand for, really.
Okay. I asked this question about Ghanaians, Nigerians, because it's something that keeps on coming up. We may not like it, we may not want to address it, but it's the truth. So I thank you for shedding some light on that, because conversations go on and on about the fact that Ghanaian banks are going under and the Nigerian banks are strong, and I would argue that banking is banking. Whether it's owned by a Ghanaian or owned by a Nigerian,
I agree with you completely.
You will do what is right in order to steer the affairs of the bank in the right order.
Yes.
But on the operations of the bank, in my introduction, I made mention of how I sit at home nowadays and I send the money across. Back in the day, I was the one who would go to the banking hall and I'll join the line, I'll complain. And I've heard through the grapevines that you have serious expertise with regards to electronic payments and how they work and stuff like that. Give us some small detail on Ghana's scope with regards to electronic payments or electronic transactions, and how the bank is positioning itself to take advantage of this platform?
Okay, for us, we believe it should be optional for customers to come to our branches. Unlike what obtains today, where there are some transactions, even in Ghana here, the customer has to come to the branch. We want to take away that compulsion for customer to come to the branch. We want to make it optional. And how do you go about doing that? Is to increase the electronic suite of banking services which you offer, where the person can actually do his business from wherever he wants. Time constraint is not a consideration. Time of closing of the branch is not a consideration. Saturday banking is not a value add. Essentially, what we were doing as a bank, both in the short term and in the long term, is to develop products that increase stickiness to the bank. E.g., for instance, when you look today, most of the electronic products are driven on the phone. Okay. So products that ensure the customer, whenever he goes back to his phone, will see GTBank is what we will do. In specifics, currently today, we have products like my GHP that is internet driven, a web access payment platform that allows both GTBank customers and non-GTBank customers to come on board. There's also the USSD. For me, the USSD *737. Okay. Very, very important. Because by the time you do the demographics of smartphones and future phones, you will see that internet penetration still has a long way to go. But there are more people with phones. So a product that will be able to work on phones that are not smart or future phones are the product that will sell in the short term, which is why you see mobile money growing at a very fast pace, because it's mainly SMS driven. So our USSD is also trying to, the idea is to also drive that platform, not without internet, but to go using the SMS modes of transmission, which is why you have my *737 on the offering.
That's the, just to cut you, that's the one with the fancy ad that keeps on playing on radio.
Exactly, exactly.
It's very, very attractive though, it's very, very attractive.
We've also gotten to the point where, you know, you can't be in Ghana and not do mobile money. So we have also linked the mobile money suite of products to *737. So the *737 is kind of a banking suite that's being developed to take care of the end-to-end needs of all our customers. Outside this, we're also trying to come on board, though it's not open yet, so I cannot say much about it. We also realize the fact that in the near future, even though we are not there yet, though we have the capabilities in-house, predictive capability of the bank will be what will be the selling point for us. We're able to effectively see the customer expense pattern, forecast effectively what the customer needs to be in the future, possibly incorporate all the customer needs from where we sit. So our predictive capabilities that have been developed in-house, we are trying to put them in some products that will help push the GTBank name more into the market. And a time will come where really GTBank will not be about the branch you go to, but GTBank will be everywhere. And we are getting there. Now, there are certain products which have been developed. Like I mentioned earlier, I can't say yet because our regulator needs to give. So, but the end point where we see ourselves today, in terms of in-house technology capability, we are just at 5% of what we can offer to the Ghanaian market. It's there. So we are beginning to roll them out gradually. Okay. And we believe at the end of the day, both the market, the bank, it will be a win-win situation for us. So truly we are going to go e-channels, or we are in e-channel already, e-channel drive already. It's now to scale up. Okay. Which is why we are not likely to expand our physical branches in the near term. Instead, we'll be everywhere more. You'll see us in the electronic space, but physically you may not. And we're also mindful of the fact that there are some die-hard customers that want to see their cash.
Exactly.
So in some certain locations, we'll expand existing branches to accommodate such customers. We'll try to put some level of automation in the process. Like today, you walk into our branch, you don't need to feel a teller to pay in your money. Though there are some customers that find that strange, they still insist on taking something away from the branch. So we'll give them a piece of paper, we'll put all the details for them. So we are not going to shut down the normal branch experience. We are just going to enhance it. You know, when I resumed earlier in the year, we talked about, we actually removed some of the seats in the bank. Okay. There was some level of resistance even internally. But like I told my colleagues, people don't come to the branch because they want to see the fine faces of our staff. they come to transact.
Okay.
It serves two things. By the time you see them standing, you attend to them faster. Thirdly, it will ensure you come to tell me what we need to do to minimize the level of the waiting period for the customer. And I would like to say here that I'm quite happy with the outcome. Now, we strive to ensure that 5 minutes after your contact with any of our staff in terms of a banking transaction, they are sorted and you leave quite happily. And if you have complaints, we have means with which you can escalate to us to resolve quickly.
Okay. You made mention of complaints,
Yes.
and that's a key issue when it comes to banking.
Yes.
You see people ranting on social media about how they've been treated and stuff like that. I know tomorrow you'll be interacting with some of your customers through the talk with the MD, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Yes.
Do you think in the banking landscape in Ghana, some have lost focus of why they got into the business with regards to a customer-focused bank? Or you think it's just as a matter of how things are shaping up in the industry and how best can banks in general put themselves right to serve their customers?
Well, I prefer not to talk about my colleagues
Okay,
in the industry, but I don't want us to fall into the same category of the smartphone producers. You know, the smartphone producers assume that customers are not very smart. So they do the product and sell it to the customer because they believe they know what the customer wants. But they're able to get away with it because it's not as if smartphone existed in the past. Unlike banking, where it's generic, banks have been around forever. So it's that customer edge that drives your growth in the market. Perception is, that's what banking is all about. They perceive you to be good and strong, then you grow. So the channel of call the MD is designed mainly to bypass all bureaucracies in trying to reach me.
Okay.
So we've been doing that now for like 6 months.
Very good.
So on a specific day in the month, there's a 3-hour window, a toll-free line, where all our customers can call in, even non-customers can call in, and we'll listen to the complaints, and let me assure you, we've gotten some significant insight into those areas we need improvements, and those areas where they think we're doing well, but we can also do better. So for us, it's something that we'll continue doing. My plan is to see if I can do it 3 times a month.
Okay.
It's a bit difficult, but I'll try. And then we'll just keep the complaint channel open because that's what improves us in the end.
Just on a lighter note, are you ready for the heat that comes from customers? Some of them complaining, bashing you. Are you ready for it?
No, I don't see it as complaints. I see it as feedback.
Okay.
You can't improve if everybody keeps praising you end to end.
Okay.
Which is not true. So we welcome such complaints and such feedback, and hopefully we'll be able to explain some of our actions to them. Because you've also not ignored the fact that even if internally you've given reasons why certain actions have been taken, by the time it goes through the chain of explanation to perhaps the account of the direct, it would have changed significantly. So it's best to hear it from them, from me.
Yes,
and they can call me at no cost. And I'm there.
I like that one, no cost.
Yes.
Okay, let me jump into your financials.
Yes.
I was just going through your statements, and it would be better to hear it from the one in charge.
Okay.
What's GTBank's position as we speak now? Strong footing?
Okay, when you say strong footing, I do not know the parameters you are using.
Okay.
But I should say I like where we are today.
With regards to your loans and advances, your cash and cash equivalents, what the Bank of Ghana would summarize and say your key financial soundness indicators.
Oh, okay. Even though we are doing a 9-month audit, so the results have not been approved by BOD yet, so I can't go ahead to give you some of the details.
Okay.
But where we are today, our NPL is below 5%.
Wow.
So it's about 4.67 or so. Liquidity is very good, over 80%.
Okay.
Capital adequacy is like 47. So when you look at our balance sheet, it's very clean.
Okay.
Our total bad loan stock as at September 30 is 17 million cedis.
Okay.
So, and that's less than a month's profit. So clearly we don't have any worries in terms of NPLs. In terms of capacity to do business, which is measured mainly by liquidity, our liquidity cover as at today is over 100%. So for the fundamentals of the bank, we're able to meet both our short-term and long-term obligations. Added to the fact that we recently in October got capital injection from our parent company.
Okay.
We're even in a better place.
Very good.
So overall, the fundamentals are good, and by the time we get the approval letter in the month, we'll publish it for everybody to confirm our position.
We'll be looking forward to it.
We're also happy. And part of the reasons why we scheduled the call the MD tomorrow, you know, there's this saying, you've not published, you want to confirm and pages of the papers if you've met it. The minimum capital, which seems to be the only song in the market today.
It's true.
It's the only song in the market today. And what I tell most people that ask me, why don't you want to publish? I tell them that our customers know us. They know we are a sound bank. We are very good at what we do. And for us, we don't define our being good by meeting the minimum capital requirement. We believe it's a given. And that it's a good thing that BOG has put that in place, because there's no harm if a bank has the capacity to do more big transaction. It can only get better. So if tomorrow they insist that they still want me to put it on the pages of the newspaper,
you do that for them.
I'll do that for them. But I would tell them always, the minimum capital is not what makes the bank or a bank the best place to put your money.
Okay.
You check fundamentals like liquidity, is it good? What's the NPA ratio? Is it within regulatory expectation? Is it a bank that can meet your obligations when you want to? Those are some of the considerations you look for. In terms of the minimum capital, it just makes the bank to do more transactions, like an equity cushion in the event of a headwind, the bank can stand. So it's a good thing to have, but it's not the silver bullet that solves all the problems. But by and large, we actually met that already, so
wow.
It's not a consideration.
Yeah. Okay. It seems the conversation that keeps on going on is that meet it or downgrade, and this coming from the regulator. Either you meet it or you downgrade or you merge to meet it and stuff like that. So you put it in some good perspective, hearing this from a practitioner, saying that it's not the only thing you should look into when it comes to a bank's more or less strong legs. You should look at other things. So I'll say a big thank you for that.
But I also want to add, the regulator saying they should merge or downgrade. We need to accept the fact that in an industry that is highly regulated like this, parameters that have been set has to be met.
Okay.
And if they are not, the regulator decides what the penalty or what the outcome should be. While for us, we support what the regulator is doing completely.
Okay.
We think it's a good thing, and it's not the only operations in Africa where you've seen regulator insist on a new set of minimum capital situations. So what is happening here in Ghana is a best practice accepted worldwide and indicative of a regulator that knows that the future could be turbulent, so we have to be ready.
Okay.
So it's okay for banks to be ready.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Just on the general banking landscape, the banking sector report from the same regulator, Bank of Ghana, says over the year up to April 2018, over the course of 1 year, banks have shifted their assets into investments. That would be treasury bills and less towards loans and advances. In a conversation I had with a layman in the sense that he's not into banking, he says banks are lazy. You are the captain of a big bank. Are the banks lazy or not?
Well, from his own perspective, we are both correct. In that he's correct based on his own parameters of defining what a strong person is or what a strong institution is and what a lazy institution is. He's not getting funds. And it's unfortunate that situations like that arise. On our part, we do not think we are lazy. Let's not forget the fact that, like I mentioned at the start of the interview, that a bank is made up of the customer's deposits.
Okay.
Without those deposits, there's no bank. The shareholders' fund will be good to build buildings, acquire some, but essentially what drives the bank is the customer's deposit. And you cannot give loans if there's no high degree that the loan will come back when you agreed for it to come back. So when you want to take such investment decisions, you need to balance both situations. Are we still giving out loans today? Yes. Could we give out more loans? Yes. Are we looking for opportunities to increase our loan portfolio? All the answers are yes. But let's also not forget that from the start of banking, government securities too is an aspect of investment that all banks engage. Now, is there a right percentage that you should put in government securities and the others in loans? I do not know. I just think it varies from bank to bank. We will lend to the real sector when we see as the opportunities come on board, we will. We're in the business of redistributing wealth.
Okay.
So we're not lazy, we're just waiting for the opportunities to come up.
Okay. On this point, I just need to touch on this, if I may. Deposit mobilization is something I personally have experienced for my days, my short days in a bank. We heard complaints of liquidity issues, customers running for their funds in other places, and stuff like that. In your quest to rake in new funds, without giving us your secret sauce when it comes to deposit mobilization, how do you go about this to ensure that when you go out there, you can bring in what's needed to go out in terms of loans and stuff like that?
You know, usually going to beg the customer for deposit, in my opinion, is not the solution. You need to make the customer want to keep money with you. You need to create avenues, products, engagement, and as well as explain your modes of operation to the customer so that the customer can bring the funds to you. At the same time, I believe most customers want ease of doing business. If they're able to move their money at when they want, they will definitely bring the money to you. If they're able to make payments that gets to the destination very fast with minimal downtime or turnaround time, they'll get the money to you. Above all, do they trust you? If they trust you, the monies will come. And how do you build this trust? These are some of the things I've mentioned earlier. You can show them that your liquidity is good, your bad loans are within control, all the parameters are right. You are within regulatory set targets in all parameters. So the money can only become safer with you. So with that, monies will come to you. But when they ask for it, you should be able to give it back to them quickly. So on that line, deposit, okay. I think we're doing very okay there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just wrapping up here.
Okay.
Going forward, 2018 will end, and from what I've gathered, you are okay with the minimum capital requirement. Next year is a new fiscal year. We're going to have the budgets presented, etc. So we're going into a new year. GT Bank in 2019 and then banking industry in 2019. Your thoughts on that? 2019,
the industry will become stronger. GT Bank will continue to focus on efficiency and profitability. Okay. Honestly, we don't want to be the biggest bank in Ghana.
Okay. You just want a small segment for yourself.
Well, you can call it small, but it's not even the size now, but we know where we want to be.
Okay.
And our focus will be these twin factors I've mentioned.
Okay.
So you may think I don't have the size of deposits on other banks' front. The question is that, do I want to have such deposits? The kind of customers we want, which we'll go after, we love what they give to us. And we'll continue looking for such customers, and we'll continue to onboard them and show them what we can offer. At the end of the day, are we very efficient with what we do with our operations? Yes. Are we profitable? Yes. Above all, is the customer happy with us? Yes. That's where we want to be in 2019.
Thank you very much again.
You're welcome.